All right, we are in Chapter 1, Introduction to Chemistry, Section 3, the scientific method. Move this out of the way here. All right. Okay, so you've done Section 1, what is chemistry? Section 2, chemistry and matter. We are going to work on Section 3, scientific methods. This should all be review. You guys remember doing a science fair project in 8th grade. Same process, so this entire section is going to be review for you. Objectives. Identify the common steps of the scientific method, and remember, whatever book you look in, they're going to be listed a little bit differently, but you guys know the main steps that are covered. Compare and contrast the types of data, identify types of variables, describe the difference between a theory and a scientific law. Review vocabulary, systematic approach, an organized method of solving a problem. Okay, look at all the new vocab, but remember, it's not new vocab for you guys. You've seen most of this, if not all of this, before. Scientific method, qualitative data, quantitative data, hypothesis, experiment, independent variable, dependent variable, control, conclusion, theory, and scientific law. The main idea behind this section, scientists use scientific methods to systematically pose and test solutions to questions and assess the results of these tests. This happens in this happens in chemistry, this happens in biology, this happens in physics. All scientists use the scientific method. So what is the scientific method? It is a systematic approach used in scientific study, whether it's chemistry, physics, biology, or any other science. It is an organized process used by scientists to do research and provides methods for scientists to verify their work and the work of others. And you can see through this diagram how it works. Now, what you guys are used to is start with a problem, list a hypothesis, list your materials, your methods, or also called your procedures, collect your data, and make a conclusion. Now that is the same thing that it is in this diagram. Observations, you make observations and then you come up with your question. Okay, you can then make your hypothesis, okay, do your experimentation, do your conclusion. If your conclusion doesn't agree with your hypothesis, you can revise it and do your experiment again. After doing this multiple times, you come up with a theory and then a scientific law. Okay, so in the process of doing your experiment, you gather data through observations. And remember, we use our 5 senses to gather that data. Qualitative data is gathered through observations that describe color, smell, shape, a physical characteristic. Okay? Qualitative, not a number, just describing it. Quantitative data is where you have the numbers, numerical observations, so how long it is, how heavy it weighs, how fast it goes. Okay, hypothesis is an explanation for what you're observing. Remember, you said I hypothesize that the blue ball will bounce higher than the red ball. Okay, it's just a guess as to what you think the answer is going to be. An experiment is a set of controlled observations that test the hypothesis. That's the steps you go through, the procedure that you follow to test the question that you're asking. A variable is a quantity or condition that can have one or more value. And remember, we have different variables that we talk about. Let me go back. Okay, you have an independent variable, that's the one you change. The dependent variable is the one you measure. Okay, it is the variable that changes in value in response to the change in the independent variable. Another variable you can have is the control, and we also talked about the constant, which isn't listed here. Control is a standard for comparison in our experiment. A constant, those are things that stay the same. Your conclusion is a judgment based on the information obtained from the experiment. So after you've collected your data and you analyze your data, you agree or disagree with your hypothesis based off of that data. And that is your conclusion. Okay? A hypothesis is never proven, only supported or discarded. Okay? A model can be used to help make those predictions. So go ahead and look at this scenario. This is Smithers from Homer Simpson, and you can look at this and then answer those questions. Okay, a theory is an explanation that has been repeated over and over again and you still get the same results. Okay, it has been experimented on the same way many, many times and they're still getting the same results. Okay, a theory states a broad principle of nature that has been supported over time by repeated testing. Theories are successful if they can be used to make predictions that are true. On the other hand, a scientific law describes a relationship in nature and is supported, once again, by many experiments. No exceptions to these relationships are found. One huge example that we've all studied is Newton's laws of motion. We have Newton's first, second, and third law of motion. Okay, they have all been studied numerous times, and we get the same results. So those are scientific laws. Okay, let's see how we did in this section. Quantitative data describes observations that are, answer is numerical. Remember that N helps you remember the quantitative right here. This N is how I remember, numerical. And the next one, scientific methods are blank approaches to solving a problem. Answer is systematic. Okay, that is the end of section 3. We are not going to study section 4. We will jump into chapter 2, section 1.